everybody, welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And you can find me online at stampingwithmelva.com. It's Wednesday today and I'm here a little bit early because I have an event tonight, so I wanted to get on and share a technique with you. Now, it's been a while since I've played with this technique. I'm calling it a technique because it's my kind of go-to for when I lose my crafting mojo. Sometimes I just don't have any ideas, and I will pull out one of the catalogs and look for one of the cards or projects that is in the catalog. There are some amazing ideas. The concept artists at Stampin' Up! Do an amazing job with all of the projects in the catalogs and also what they share online. So that's what I'm going to do today. That's my technique, casing the catalog. And so it's a great way if you aren't sure what to do or you need some ideas for a particular stamp set or bundle or suite that you've got and just not sure what to do with it. So I'm going to switch over. Anyway, I think I'm live on YouTube and I think I'm live in my Facebook group. So if you're watching me from one of those two places, just give me the thumbs up. Let me know where you're watching from. We're just going to get started and make a card. All right. So like I said, I pull out the annual catalog or the mini catalog or the scrapbooking brochure on a regular basis when I'm not sure what to do and what if I want some ideas. Or one of the things for sure what I pull it out is if there's a die or something I'm just not sure what it is the die is for or how to use it, I will pull it out. So today I am going to make a card. I was flipping through and thought, you know what I haven't made recently is, well, actually, I shouldn't say recently. I haven't used this one in a little bit, but also this stamp or this card here is made using one of the dies from the bundle, which I have not used at all yet, and it allows you to create a butterfly shaped front to your card or a fully shaped butterfly card. So my card I'm casing today is this one here that's on page 40 of the catalog. So what does case mean? Well, people say different things. I use it to be copy and share everything. I can't remember what other people copy and anyway, it's all about being inspired by something you see. You could be inspired by someone else's card, something from the catalog. And so casing is, you can copy it exactly the way it is. You can change it a little bit, just being inspired by the layout if that's what you find. So this one is the one I'm going to make today, and I am going to change it up a little bit. So the colors on this one are, they're using the beautiful bokeh paper, which is I'm also using. Isn't that gorgeous, in Berry Burst? And that's what I'm using today. So they had used the orange one, and I'm going to use Berry Burst. And instead of the Daffodil Delight on my butterfly, I'm using Petal Pink. So changing it up the colors, but I'm going to be inspired definitely by this card. So as I said, I'm using the Beautiful Butterflies bundle, and this is the die that allows you to cut out the butterfly. Hey Pam, welcome. The butterfly front or back or both sides of your card. And there's a little trick to this that I will show you when I get there. Okay, so I went ahead already. So I've got a piece I'm using thick basic white. I like to use thick basic white when I make a card base with my white. So I've 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. But before I burnish it, I am going to take my die, laying it down, the cutting side down, and I don't know if you can see this. Let me see if that helps. Lights are flickering here. Okay, can you see that line? There is a line on both of sides of this die, and so when you lay your die onto your card base, you want to line up those lines. I'm just going to see. Yep, like those lines, I'm just putting them just slightly over the top of my card. And hopefully if I do this right, that's not going, it's only going to cut the front of my card out and not cut it on the back. We shall see how this goes. All right, let me bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Let's take that out. Okay, one of these days I need to put some new cutting, oops, not that, cutting mats, plates down. These are looking, they're not too curled, which is amazing when I use it so much, but they definitely look like they're pretty ratty. Well, let's hope this works, Pam. You just never know. And I'm just going to check that one more time before I, before I cut. If it doesn't work, I'm going to be running for another piece of thick basic white. All right. So fingers crossed. I think it worked. So then you gently pull off your Post-it note tape, and if all went as planned, and I can reuse it. Take this off, and I can reuse that. And I have a butterfly cut from the front of my card. Now, I do need to trim that off so the butterfly is kind of free floating. So I'm just going to bring in my trimmer, and now I'm going to take, and I'm only going to cut this little kind of what's half an inch along that score line. So I'm going to line this again up at 4 1/4, and I'm just going to take my trimmer and just run it partway along, and you can actually feel when it runs into the section that is already cut, it kind of, you can feel it kind of click. So now I have a butterfly. Isn't that cool? All right, so I'm just going to take this, and now that I had already scored that, so I'm just going to take my butterfly, and now I've got my butterfly front to my card, and we can do some decorating. So I've cut this to be 5 1/2, 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're just going to take and adhere that on to this roughly in the middle. I'm not going to measure, but I'm going to roughly put it in the middle. Let's get it down a little bit like that. Okay. So that's looking, you know, pretty close to what the back of my card in the catalog is like. So we do need to do some decorating. So I am just going to take and move the back of my card out of the way. And I am going to use the Berry Burst. But I think I want to do some stamping off because I'm worried that my Berry Burst is awfully juicy. So these, let's see, I got a thread. These stamps are, where's my other one? There it is. So these are stamps that fit on the wings. Just trying to see, they look pretty close to being the same. So they go like that, and then I guess they go up like that and that. I think there's only the 2 of them. So when you stamp them, let me show you what they look like. So they look like that. So they look like they're really kind of detailed butterfly wings. Oops. Like that. So I'm thinking they're for either side. Yeah, okay, so they're kind of opposite to each other. So I am just going to take, I think that one goes that way, and I'm going to stamp off just because I don't want it quite as dark as what I think it's going to be. And I'm going to just take and stamp that like that. And I'm going to stamp off, and another one there. Ooh, that one's good thing that's going to be covered up. All of these dots, can you see those dots? And so I'm going to stamp these dots kind of around here. I have got, there we go, a thread hanging from my fingernail. There we go. So we're just going to take and put some dots. There we go. And let's put some. All right. So we've kind of got our butterfly. And if I bring in the catalog, so there's the card. Pretty similar. I'm just using to close that berry burst up. And I cut out one of the really detailed butterflies from Petal Pink. And I cut out one of the bodies from the Designer Series paper. So I'm going to, so this is good. Oh, that's not the right size. Where's the right die? I thought that there was only 2 sizes of, I think I know what they've done. I do know what they've done. All right, see? I'm trying to think about whether or not there is a bigger butterfly. Well, I think they've trimmed this butterfly somehow. I'm going to cut it in half. She says, not sure what's going on, because there's that antenna and the body. And I don't see another one, so I am not sure what they did. I'm going to have to check to see. But it looks like it's got a much bigger body than what I have for this antenna, which I've now lost. There it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, because I'm going to put my sentiment over top of it anyway. So I'm going to just take and put that there. And I'm going to take the body and put it down lower, like that. So we've got our body on there, and now I've got a piece of the, so this is going to go on like that, but it's going to get covered up, so we can actually put this on as well. And I'm just going to glue on the kind of the body like that. Get my wings kind of free floating when this goes on as much as possible. Now I've got a piece of the base, or the Berry Burst Designer Series paper, and I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I've got my Versamark, and I've got the stamp that says time to celebrate. So we're going to stamp that using Versamark. But before I do that, I'm just going to rub that over with my embossing buddy so I can remove any of that static. So I'll stamp that using Versamark. And then I have my white embossing powder. So this is actually still some of the old embossing powder, not the new Wow embossing powder. I do think the new Wow melts faster than this does, but I still have a lot of white embossing powder left that I want to use up. Okay, so we're going to take my heat tool. Hopefully this isn't too loud. And we're just going to hold the heat tool in one spot over the, there we go, in one spot over the words or part of the words until you see it melt. And you can see, I can see it, you might not be able to. It goes from a kind of a dull matte finish to a really shiny bright finish. And once it's done that, you can start to move it around and melt the rest of the powder. There we go. What you don't want to do is hold it over that embossing powder too long, because it will start to soak in to the paper itself. So I am just going to take and cut a rectangle as close to straight as I can. It's not always very straight, but you know, we'll get it. And so this is going to go over the front of my card, and I'm going to pop that up using some dimensionals, if I can find some dimensionals. There. I've got some bits left, but that's okay. This will work. So we're just going to use these. I know I've got a package of dimensionals here somewhere. All right, and so now you're not going to notice that the body of my butterfly is cut in half, because this is going to go right over top. Gosh, this is a pretty card. Wow. I love the colors. Okay, now the last thing, a couple of last things. Now there's, if you wanted to write on here, I guess you could put a piece of basic white in here, but I am going to assume that you're going to write something, and I'm just going to stamp some down in the corner on the back of my card, and that's where you can write your sentiment on. Now, what I do need to do is, these are the itty bitty bokeh dots that come as part of this suite, and so we're going to just take and use just a little dot of glue, just kind of on the back of the card, like there, like that, and use the putty end of your take your pick tool to pick up, if you can. I really need to get a putty, replace some putty knives on my take your pick tool. Here's one that's got one. Okay. Now this itty bitty bokeh mix has got all sorts of different shapes and thicknesses. This is one of the bigger ones. So I'm just going to put that on the, oopsie, on the little glue dot that I put. And hold your finger on it if it doesn't come up. There you go. Oopsie. I had two. Okay, let's put that back in there. There we go. All right. Yes, I love these colors, Pam. It's really turned out pretty. All right, there we go. So that is my take on this card. It's pretty similar. I really, this is truly casing. I still got to figure this out, because I don't know what they've done with it's possible they cut this butterfly down a little bit. It does look like the V on the butterfly is cut down, and so the white part from the white part has been maybe cut off. Not positive how they've done that, but we'll figure that out. So there we go. There is, if you, like I said, if you wanted to, you could cut some piece of basic white on the inside of your card and do something, but I just kind of like it like that. Such a pretty card. that is my take at casing the catalog. So check out that card on page 40. And don't be afraid to case the catalog. That's what it's there for, to inspire you. So check out some of the amazing cards the concept artists make, and see what your take on them is. And like I said, casing can be as simple as just a layout or the colors, or yeah, just anything casing. And I do encourage you, if you make a card and then share it on social media, for example, you probably want to give credit to say you case this from, so and so, or from the catalog or something like that. I know if anybody cases my card and they tag me in social media, I am just so honored that somebody would do that. So, all right, everybody, thank you so much for joining me now. So today's Wednesday night. I will be back live at 11 o'clock on Saturday, which is my regular time. So come join me, and we will